Welcome and hello, hello and welcome, welcome and hello, hello and welcome, welcome and hello, guys. SoFi, just a kind of a weird day on the markets. Kind of everything dumped at the beginning of the day, and then not everything. S&P and Nasdaq. Russell was actually holding up. Small caps held up well, as did the Dow. Gold though dumped, and VIX started high and then came down all day. So it's kind of one of those days where it just started off with very negative sentiment, and over the course of the day, it swung up. There were various reasons for that, but I'll let people like Jimmy Chitwood over at Trending Stocks explain all those fancy events. I just want to talk about sort of this SoFi hood thing that I've talked a lot about over the years. I've talked about how probably it's just because I'm bitter that I missed a lot of the upside in Robinhood. But I've always said I'd prefer, as a long-term investor, to invest in SoFi's savers over Robinhood's traders. And that just has to do, for me, with the structure of the company, the business model, the philosophy of management, how they make revenues, how they make profits, and where I think the durability of that will hold up over, a decade or two. Because I don't have like a 50-year time horizon, but the way I kind of look at things personally is I think about when do I really want to retire? When am I going to need my money? When am I going to stop building my savings and start drawing down my savings? I hope that doesn't happen anytime soon, because I really do enjoy working and being active and interacting with my clients and people. And I just think I would go crazy, trying to, I'm no good at golf. You know, I don't like to go to the gym. I guess I could just sit around all day, eating quesadillas and playing ping pong or something. But no, I'd much rather work. So that's why I don't have people kind of laugh, well, it's ridiculous if you have a 10-year time horizon. Of course, everything will be up. For me, it's not ridiculous at all to invest with a 10-year time horizon. And I think if you're younger, you should invest with even a longer time horizon. I think you should be trying to pick stocks that you have no intention of selling unless something changes, with the narrative, with management, fundamentally. If you pick the right thing and it does what you think it's going to do and it keeps growing, stick with it. Keep compounding. Don't necessarily sell your winners until they stop winning, you know. But the way SoFi makes money, it's not entirely different. It's lending. I think, the technology side is coming up. Obviously, this fee-based income. They both make fee-based income. Robinhood makes a tremendous amount of their money basically taking idle deposits that their customers leave there, and they make money on the spread. They invest it, and they make a lot on that spread. They make a lot on payment for order flow. They make a lot lending out their members' shares to short sellers and others for different types of trades. So, and they're starting to make money, on banking activities like credit cards and lending and stuff. But for me, and I've said this a million times, SoFi is, the pig who built its house out of bricks, and it was built to weather storms. It was built to weather the bad times, and it's a rapidly diversifying business model. But I believe the profits, the revenues are just far more durable than any of these other fintechs. I believe, the bank charter, that this is what I said at the time. And I think Noto was thinking the same thing. He's like, we have to get the bank charter now. Order of operations matters when you're trying to solve an equation. Bank charter first, integrate the tech stack first, vertical integration first. Gold cards, hair gel, and fancy shoes later on. I can get up in a turtleneck and dance around on stage with a fog machine like I'm Steve Jobs, or I can, get my head in a spreadsheet and get down to work and provide, return on capital for my shareholders. And when Anthony Noto says, I think we can scale this business to $1 trillion, I believe him, because I think this business is built to scale. It's built, and as word of mouth, the positive brand image just continues to continues to spread, continues to grow. And people thought I was crazy when I said this before, and maybe I am. I mean, almost assuredly I am, but it doesn't necessarily mean that I'm wrong just because I have, a plethora of mental shortcomings. But I believe SoFi at the end of the day is going to be a bigger company than Hood, and I think it could even be a bigger company than Palantir. I think it could be one of the biggest companies going because financial services is over time become a bigger and bigger chunk of the economy, probably for worse. I was going to say for better or for worse, but probably for worse. Money was supposed to be a medium of exchange, not necessarily an industry of this scope unto itself, but we are where we are. So I just believe, and this is just my personal subjective opinion, that SoFi is one of the best long-term investments you can possibly make. If you look at their revenue growth, I just believe EPS is set up to absolutely explode. It's going to follow what EBITDA has been doing. It's just they're going to scale their way out of all those expenses. That's all going to be in their rearview mirror. And as they scale, they're going to take a massive portion of that money to the bottom line. That's just, I think Noto set this company up as a free cash flow machine. And he set this company up to scale, and he set this company up to cross-sell. And I just don't believe companies like, Affirm, Upstart, Hood, I don't even know that these companies will be around in a decade, much less growing as rapidly. Are their businesses as durable? Do they have a moat? I mean, Robinhood changed the world. I give him tremendous amount of credit for being a huge disruptor. But does that make the world a better place? Are retail investors better off, trading constantly, trading on margin? I mean, the Connecticut Attorney General, I think, just sued Robinhood because it's illegal online gambling. These like bets that they're doing, sort of like, well, this is one of our most rapidly growing, segments, is like, not, they don't say betting on like elections, but let's face it, that's what it is. And that's, I just say, SoFi savers over Robinhood traders and Robinhood gamblers. And I am a degenerate gambler. I have nothing against the Robinhood because I have a Robinhood account. It's a good company. It's a great interface. Feels like you're playing a slot machine. Just sucks you in with a dopamine drip. They may as well just be giving you heroin along with their soul patches and glorious long hair. Seen hair like that since Hunter Tylo in the that commercial for the VO5 hot oil. Anyway, guys, welcome and hello. It's Un Poco Moss, guys. How's everybody doing? Clap my dog, bought in the 7s, but I'm at the 8s because I keep buying. Yeah, I keep buying. I keep raising my average. Anything that was getting down in the 26s, I was happy to buy. Before I was buying, 24 when it dipped down last time. I bought down at 9 when it made that big dip in April. I just continue every single quarter. I believe more and more and more that Noto is going to scale this thing into a top 10 financial institution and even beyond. These partnerships that they're setting up, it's just a long-term, stable growth, customer-oriented mindset. And everybody's like, oh, they're betraying shareholders with these money. I think if you just think about it long-term, they're making the company stronger. They're getting a really good valuation for that money. A lot of people argue SoFi was, overvalued in the 30s. So that's why it pulled back. And that's a fair argument. I understand they're not making a ton of money yet, but I think that the rate of growth in EPS over the next couple of years is really going to shock the street. And they're going to get that tech valuation. And this is going to be, another 100 billion plus company sooner than later. And people don't think it can make that kind of run because it's just a bank. Are people still saying that just a bank hogwash? The bank, I'm saying this, how can you take something that is so advantageous, lowers your cost of capital forever, making those deposits, and it's truly durable competitive advantage having that bank charter. And everybody maligns it. Everybody makes fun of it. Everybody's like, oh, well, your book value. Look at what happened with Robinhood's change in book value over just a short period of time. Went from like 4.6 to 15. Nobody even says anything because they're like, well, they're going to make margins. They're going to make margins, in an up market where everybody's trading and everybody has money and everybody's able to work on margin. And you're able to keep those rates relatively low. And you're able to give away the store with the gold card. Oh, we're going to give you 6%. We're going to give you a penile implant to compensate for your tiny wing. and we're going to give you a personnel, you know, we're going to give you a pack of gum and teach you how to chew it, to quote the great Al Pacino. So Robinhood slides 8% after big decline November trading volume. So trading was down across the board. I mean, that was fairly to be expected because so many, you know, people who are have a lot of money in Robinhood are heavy on crypto and made a lot of money on crypto. And obviously a lot of them got margin called. A lot of them got liquidated. So that's where you see these dips, I think, more than anything. The amount was also down 19% from a year ago level. So it was down quarter on quarter, 12%, which it doesn't seem like a lot, but you guys have to understand how businesses work. It's not like, oh, we lost, you know, 12% of our sales volume. And so that means our profits will just go down 12%. No big deal. You make money at the margins. Like you need to sell a certain amount to break even, and then a lot of that, you know, marginal revenue after that is what goes to the bottom line. So these drop-offs can be a lot more severe than they sound. Like 11-12% fall and then that much year on year, that's very significant. If you look at Robinhood's income, it's sort of all over the place. I mean, it's not like SoFi's where it forms that staircase. Guys, I gotta answer my boss, my better half, the beauty and the brains of this operation. Anyway, guys, welcome and hello, everybody. They call me DJ Patchy Drizzle. Basically, we don't know how to get the party started. We don't know how to raise the roof, but we're damn sure going to make sure everyone gets home safely by 8 p.m. at the latest. So if you have a birthday party, octogenarian or above, we have an office party, whatever you need, DJ Patchy Drizzle will be there. I can bring my sidekick, MC Al Dente. They call me Little Danny Cornbread DiCarlo. You might ask, why do they call you Cornbread, Danny? Well, I'll tell you. It's because I'm moist, I'm doughy, and I crumble under pressure. They call me the tugboat for obvious reasons. They call me Stubby Cohiba for less obvious reasons, unless you've seen me in the locker room. What else do they call me? They call me Hurricane Lopez. They call me Stockton. They call me Hurricane Lopez because I spin around a lot when I play tennis, and my Mexican friend, whose name was Lopez, just dubbed me Hurricane Lopez because I spin around and I was fat and I looked real funny. And I move fast for a fat guy. I dance. People think people think I'm tap dancing out there on the court. What happened to that guy with tennis in his name? I missed that guy. Tennis lover, I think. What happened to my entire audience? I don't care. It's just so fun. Like, these videos must be so bad. Every time I make a video, I lose like 2 or 3 subscribers. I'm just whittling down my audience to a hardcore bunch of psychopaths, you know? Like big number 2 industries. Big baller. They call me Chris Kinkles. You know, Hillary style man suit or a pantsuit, just Hillary style cankles. Just absolutely no transition between your thigh, your knee, and your calf. It's just a big log. They call me Big Schloss. I don't know why they call me Big Schloss, but they do. Can you bring up the grab trending shorts? What the hell does that mean? Graph of trending. You mean the graph? You mean shorts on SoFi? What the hell are you talking about? Oblong lace. Sure, I can. Let's see. So yeah, I think they were shorting today. They had to be. They were stepping on it early. Yeah, they borrowed some shares, 1.6 million, and then they shorted a few shares, 210,000. Nothing major, but that short is ticking up. Shares on loan have ticked up. This was 8.6. Now I bet it's over 10 in all honesty. And then good news, actually, if you guys know what CalPERS is, it's the California Public Employees Retirement System, and it's one of the largest institutional investors out there. And they were adding additional shares of SoFi. So 160,000 shares. I think they already had about 2 million or something like that, 1.875 looks like. So it's just good news because, like, even though there's like red and blue states, a lot of them kind of invest in the same stuff. You notice that, like Texas will buy in, and then Minnesota will buy in, like the teachers funds will buy in. So that's really, really good for SoFi stock if these types of institutional investors continue to add as the valuation basically continues to get more and more rich. It really shows they have a long-term mindset and long-term intentions. They have good intentions. It's not a one and done. They're not looking to wine and dine or looking to put a ring on it. It's like a Beyonce situation. Anyway, guys, welcome and hello and welcome. Thanks for joining me on this just riveting edition of Un Poco Mas. You guys must have nothing to do. Total flatliners, big losers here in the audience. You guys know, as you know, YouTube got back to me with some very specific analytics, and I do have a tiny wing audience, but you guys are chomping at the bit. You love your information, and so do I. Anyway, I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. What else is new? SoFi institutional ownership continues to go up. Fund sentiment score keeps going up. It's almost at 90, 89.5. Favorable put call ratio. I just love this stock. I think the chart is setting up. I like it to regain this line. I mean, this is the yearly chart. This is obviously the 50-day moving average in red, which is going to be much higher. So the stock, been trading around all-time highs. The 150, 150 in yellow. When I look at these two charts, and this just might be me, but when I look at what SoFi is doing, and then I look at this just grotesque hammer candle on Robinhood when this data all hit, I see, Robinhood getting rejected at the 50 and kind of coming way off. And I still see SoFi, fighting to break through the 50. It's just could be wishful thinking, but I just think this gap down, I'm not someone who says gaps always have to be filled, but I think this is going to recover very, very quickly. I think it's going to come off of this trend line that sort of had been this teeter-totter, acting as both support and resistance for the last year. Kind of really been support and resistance that many times, but I don't know. It's just kind of like a median trend line. Just kind of pulled it out of my east. Anyway, guys, gotta get some water. Sorry. Great Billy Jack has joined us. Great Billy Jack and the Butt Crack Boys. One of those bands just can't miss. Billy Jack playing the jug, got the Butt Crack Boys backing him. Oh, it's sweet, sweeter than you. They got a banjo. They got a stand-up bass. They got a guitarista. Billy Jack on the jug. Look for Billy Jack and the Butt Crack Boys playing the Holiday Inn, the Rumpus Room, Chattanooga, Tennessee, New Year's Eve. Billy Jack and the Butt Crack Boys. Get your tickets now. Couples Pass, $199, includes a free champagne toast. That's Billy Jack and the Butt Crack Boys. Anyway, sorry, Billy Jack. I just love saying Billy Jack and the Butt Crack Boys for some reason. Maybe some band. I just imagine, wanting to be in a band where I can just man boob it in straight overalls with no shirt on. I want to live in a society like you see like a mechanic in the South where he's like working on heavy equipment. You can just straight go overalls and man boobs. Nobody asks questions. Nobody's like, hey, why aren't you eating more kale? It's like, hey, I'm trying to fix this tractor. Shut the fuck up. Like in LA, everybody asks you stuff like that. What's the problem? You have like a bad thyroid, No, I'm fucking fat, lazy, and stupid. I spend too much time on the computer and the internet and my cell phone. I don't exercise enough. I don't eat a proper diet. I'm a big jerk. It's the types of detailed explanations you don't have to put up with in Deep South when you're jugging with Billy Jack and the Butt Crack Boys. Oh, I'm so bitter. Sorry, guys, this show has nothing to do with stocks or it's completely incoherent. I do apologize about that, but kind of the way my brain works. But anyway, what was I going to talk about? I have no idea. So Robinhood volumes falling off. I feel like some of that money could have been flowing into SoFi today. I could be wrong about that. Very important institutional investors continue to load SoFi. Still a significant short on the stock. I believe the chart is actually favorable. I believe if you look at this still represents a very clear uptrend since this chart clearly changed right here, at the beginning of July. You see it just started working on this line again on the top of this line, though it dipped down below and it's just trending below it a little bit. I mean, I can just change the line, I can just go, whoa, we're above the line. No, that's cheap. That's cheating. But I just like this a lot. I think there's a tremendous amount of upside. And people are like, well, should I dump Robinhood? I don't think you should dump Robinhood. I don't think it's going to like crash, but people are like, well, what's the level? You notice it bottomed out here around 102 and found support right here where it consolidated. Yeah, again, back in July, that's where SoFi's chart changed too. But this chart really didn't change as much. Kept marching all the way up till this point. And then if you look at what it's done right here, guys, so you see the high at 153 and then making lower highs, 146, 137, and then lower lows. So you come down 122 and then you come down 102. And if that trend continues, where is that next lower low? In my opinion, if the stock breaks down below, I would say the 91 level, the stock is in big trouble. And people think, well, that's impossible. It is extraordinarily possible and just eminently probable if the narrative breaks down for how this company is going to function when the shit hits the fan. That's what you want to ask yourself as a long-term investor. And I was talking about the video that Charlie Munger made. If you have $500,000, you have freedom. He's like talking about changing your mindset. Instead of if you always want more, if you're never satisfied, you're never going to be happy. It doesn't matter if you have $100 million. It doesn't matter if you have $1 billion. There's always going to be somebody with more. Even if you're Elon Musk, you're the richest man in the world. I think you still have, a great deal of self-loathing. Personally, I think you guys got a lot of demons. And it's not meant as a criticism. God knows I do too. But it's just what Charlie Munger knew is like money doesn't cure, those demons. Like you have to be a secure person. And when you stop the envy, you stop trying to keep up and surpass the Joneses, you stop trying to impress people who don't know and don't care and don't notice. It's all in your head. It's like when you realize that and you become secure, you have freedom because you build your nest egg and then you protect it with a moat. And then you never really have to worry. You have the freedom to say no. You have the freedom to do what you want. You have the freedom to take a year off if necessary. Say a family member gets, people don't have those freedoms. And that's what he's talking about. I never really wanted to be rich. I just wanted freedom. And, my mindset and whatever I was doing sort of took care of itself. And, obviously the rest is history. But I love Charlie Munger. If you have, I will link that. I linked it in the comments of the last video. That thing will change your life if you listen to it. And you can apply it to just about anything. That sense of humility, I was thinking like, it's so embarrassing if you're overweight to go in the gym. It's like everybody's so fit. I'm like, it's embarrassing not to go. You're going to die, you fat fuck. That's embarrassing. Laying in a casket, fat as hell, dying way before your time. That's a real zinger. What's more embarrassing, that or having to face the front desk girl being just a little bit chubby? You got to do what you got to do. Toss up there. Got to get in Planet Fitness. Haven't been in there for 6 years. Still paying that fee. What an idiot. If you just cancel all your subscriptions that you don't even know about and memberships, you could buy so much more stock. If you're anything like me, you're probably just spending thousands of dollars in unknown nonsense. What about your cell phone insurance? I got 3 cell phone lines. I was taking a good look at my bill, looking at tax time and stuff, going over some, trying to manufacture some deductions. Not manufacture, but just, find me 12,000 deductions. But no, I was looking through my phone bill. I got 3 insurances on there, $20 a month. $60 a month in cell phone insurance. And I'm sure it doesn't pay for anything. That's $720 a year. Come on. What am I doing here? I could buy a condo somewhere. I mean, not for that amount of money, but it's just the point is, if you add it all up, buy a rental property, buy a business, save for your kids' college. Maybe you guys aren't as stupid as me, but probably some of you are. Oh, volcano insurance. Oh, no, I won't. SMCI had accounting problems, but looking at all the earnings, they miss all 4 quarters. Yeah, they did have a, sorry, I just ran into my mic there. with my not a lurker fintech rent chat. Yeah, they did have definitely an off quarter. They weren't for it. I will give you guys this. If SMCI doesn't come through this quarter, I think the stock is going to crash hard. This quarter is almost over, guys. People like, here's the thing with SoFi too, is like, last quarter, the stock came into the ER right at 31, popped up over 32, then, obviously came down. So that was here, right? Or was it here? No, it was here. 29th there, 30th, whatever it was. They did earnings a little earlier than they usually do. So came up, came back down, 29, tested this level again, came all the way back down, came back up. This has been another, sort of reasonable support level here, kind of through here. But you see sort of a shorter term, uptrend, a medium term uptrend, and then a long term uptrend. I don't think SoFi is breaking down the way Robinhood is. Now, you could argue the volume is weak, and you'd be right. The volume is going down, but I just think you're gonna start to see, this stock move up into the ER. If it was 31 coming into the last ER, kind of sold off. I think it was just selling off after the run. Didn't take anything away from the fact that the ER was really, really, really outstanding. And I think this next one's going to be even better. I think this company is finally firing on all cylinders, finally starting to cross-sell, finally starting to get that, technology business going. And let's face it, the loan platform is a technology business. It is. I don't care what you say. I don't care. And these charts look really similar. I mean, let's be honest, but you can just see the level of frenzy and manipulation in SoFi, how many peaks and valleys it is versus Robinhood is much, much smoother and more dignified. And that's again because I don't know what it is right this minute, but there's much, much higher institutional ownership. See, shares held by insiders in Robinhood, not even 1%, but 77%, of the shares are held by institutions. And then and this is obviously Yahoo, so this can be a bit dated or, a little bit janky, but they have 3% of shares held by insider. I don't think that's right. 50, but you see 54%. This is a little bit of some old data, but I'm just saying, look at the ratios. This is why they can bank. There's not that many retail investors in Robinhood to sort of fleece on these, fake volatility, highly manufactured peaks and valleys, the way you can definitely pull the wool over, the SoFi investors' eyes and shear that sheep an endless amount of times. SoFi investors, I think, like to buy a lot of calls too. Think the stock's always going to move up. I mean, the stock, this is the goofy thing about SoFi. It's always being punished for things that have, that are completely beyond the control of management, beyond the control of the company. Okay, everybody sets up this false expectation, this false narrative that SoFi is going to get in the S&P 500, which they only recently became eligible. It usually takes quite a bit of time. There are much bigger companies ahead of them in line. So like Tevis and Roy were talking about, has like a 10% chance of getting in and just moves up quarter after quarter. But the fact that it sold off on this event that it has absolutely no control over, I just flip that on its head and say the fact that SoFi is eligible for the S&P 500 after being such a nothing company when they went public, it's extraordinary growth. It's incredible execution and the consistency of it. The fact that I know the growth is going to be there next year, no matter what. I mean, it could slow down, of course, if the economy falls apart. But I think, a complete sort of lack of trading, lack of liquidity, and the Lambro investor, the tiny wing retail investor you find over at Robinhood, I think that could be a real existential threat to that company. I think SoFi has built a fortress where there are not going to be any existential threats to SoFi. There are no black swans in our future. This isn't Curb Your Enthusiasm. Ray killed the country club owner's swan, Asian guy. Curb Your Enthusiasm. I don't know. Larry David's a funny guy, but the writing, the writing just isn't funny. I mean, how long can you go on with the Mocha Joe bit? I mean, that wasn't funny at the beginning. You don't have the beans, Larry. Like Mocha Joe. It's just, what is this bit? The coffee guy, you're in like a 10-year little tit for tat bit with the guy with the coffee cart. Oh, that's hilarious. Innovative concept. I mean, then the vacation. Oh, it's funny how they do it, but it's like, it's so, I don't know. He's like, this person's a genius. That person's a genius. I'm definitely not a genius. Jamie Dimon is definitely not a genius. That Bissent guy is definitely not a genius. Almost everybody is definitely not a genius. Everybody I know. You guys want to see anything else? You want to talk about anything else? You just want to shoot this fat horse already? Get it over with. Yeah, guys, I got to run, but I'm going to come back on and talk about SMCI. But I just think, SoFi is holding up incredibly well. There's nothing wrong with 27, but I think the stock's going to go way up above where it was last quarter. I think that's why I think we're going to be at all-time highs by the end of the year, but definitely all-time highs by the time the next ER comes around. All right, guys. I appreciate it. Thanks for watching Un Poco Mas. It's been my honor and my pleasure to entertain you tiny Wayne bastards once again. Don't care where you go, but you can't stay here. Move along. Move along. Peace. I'm out.